Good morning, children. Now, let's continue with the lesson Economy and Occupations. Now, in the previous session, we had discussed about the primary activities which are carried out in Brazil. Now, the primary activities are agriculture, mining, fishing. Okay, so these were the activities which are carried out in Brazil, as well as animal husbandry. Okay, let's have a detailed explanation of these occupations. Now, agriculture is a primary activity, okay, because it is directly concerned with nature. Now, the main occupation of the people who live in the highlands as well as the coastal regions is agriculture. And in Brazil, we find a variety of crops are grown because of the favorable climate and also because of the flat terrain. If you look at the coastal regions, we find these regions get plenty of rainfall. The topography is plain, okay, and the soil is also rich. This area also has a favorable climate. So you find agriculture is carried out along the coastal regions. Now, the cereal crops which are cultivated in Brazil are rice and maize. Maize is usually grown in the central part of Brazil. Now, apart from the food crops, commercial crops like coffee, cocoa, rubber, soya bean, and sugarcane are also cultivated on a large scale. Okay, commercial crops are cultivated for export. Most often, they are grown for the sake of export. And Brazil is the largest exporter of coffee and soya bean in the world. Now, when you take into consideration the coffee producing states, we find Minas Gerais and Sao Paulo are the largest regions in Brazil, which is known for production of coffee. Fruits are also cultivated on a large scale, and the principal fruits grown here are bananas, pineapples, oranges, and citrus. Then the savanna grasslands, okay, so towards the southern part of Brazil we have the pampas. Okay, now here the principal activity is cattle and sheep rearing, and as I have already told you, towards the south rainfall goes on decreasing, and since agriculture is not a viable occupation towards the south, cattle and sheep rearing are carried out on a large scale. And cattle and sheep rearing are usually, carried out for the sake of meat as well as the dairy products. Okay. Now, here is the map of Brazil, which shows the major primary activities. As I've said, agriculture, mining, animal husbandry, as well as fisheries are the major primary activities. Okay. Now, next we come to mining. Now, when you take the eastern part of Brazil, we find this region is very rich in mineral deposits. The principal minerals found in Brazil are iron ore, manganese, nickel, copper, bauxite, tungsten, and diamonds. Okay, now look at the map here. Okay, we have already done this map anyway. Okay, we'll just find out the minerals which are mined here. Okay, we have manganese. Okay, so manganese, then we have, okay, so here we have manganese. Okay, then manganese is also seen to the north of Brazil. Then we have bauxite. Okay, bauxite is seen to the the northern part of Brazil as well as the eastern part. Then we have iron ore. Okay, iron ore is seen along the eastern part of Brazil and coal to the southern part. Okay, so the principal minerals found in Brazil are iron ore, manganese, nickel, copper, bauxite, tungsten, and diamonds. Now, when you take, as I said, these are usually mined towards the eastern part of Brazil. But we find as you go into the interior parts of the country, we find there are limitations to mining. Now, that is because of inaccessibility. Now, because of heavy rainfall and because of the dense Amazon forests, these regions are highly inaccessible. And again, there is lack of knowledge about potential reserves of resources. That is, even though there are abundant reserves of resources found along the interior part of the country, there is lack of knowledge about these resources. And again, due to dense forests, we find due to these factors, there are limitations in mining in the interior parts of the country. As I said, the Amazon basin, though you find there are plenty of minerals in these regions, because of high rainfall and also due to the high rainfall, we find the land becomes swampy, and also due to dense forests, these regions become highly inaccessible. Okay, but as the demand for these minerals go on increasing, in the highland region, you find the mining activity has developed rather well. Now, next is let us come to fishing. Okay, now look at this here. We have the South Atlantic. This is the coastal region of Brazil, the eastern coastal region, and we find we have the Atlantic Ocean towards the north as well as the southeast. Okay, in the eastern region you find, okay, can you see the red, okay, ocean, this red ocean current, okay, this is the blue, okay, so we have the ocean currents, that is here we have the warm Gulf Stream current as well as the Brazilian current as well as the Falkland current. Okay, so due to the mixing up of the warm and cold ocean currents, we find this region is an excellent fishing ground. Okay, and also because of the mixing of the warm and cold currents, this region, produces a lot of fish food, that is plankton. Okay, because of plankton, you find, which is a food for fish, we find there is abundant, fishes can be seen along the eastern part of Brazil. Okay, now let's come to fishing. So, Brazil has a sea coast which is about 7,400 kilometers, and excellent fishing grounds of the South Atlantic coast. Okay, now due to the meeting of the warm Brazil current and the cold Falkland current of the coast of Brazil, it forms an excellent fishing ground. Okay, so as I told you, along the eastern part of Brazil, we have the warm Brazilian current and the cold Falkland current. So mixing of the warm and cold ocean current provides excellent breeding ground for fishes. Now, previously, we find fishing was actually carried out on a very small scale, and that too by individual fishermen. And they used to use primitive techniques and equipments. Okay, but as technology began to be advanced, we find now large fishing trawlers are being used, and also good, mechanized boats and advanced, nets are being used. And apart from that, we find refrigeration, facilities are also provided along the ports, so that we find fishes can be preserved and later on exported. Okay, so what are the varieties of fishes caught? The varieties are swordfish, shrimp, lobsters, sardines, etc. So this is along the coastal region of Brazil. Now again, when you move into the interior part of the country, we find Brazil has not been able to exploit the resources, fish resources along the Amazon River. Okay, so fishing along the Amazon River is not being exploited much. That is, it is being carried out only in a small scale because, as I've already told you, this region is highly inaccessible, and because of dense and swampy, dense forests as well as swampy region, we find fishing activity takes place only in a very small scale. And hence we find, though we have a number of rivers, okay, because the Amazon region, Amazon basin, extends over vast area. So Amazon, together with its tributaries, we find there are plenty of rivers which join the Amazon River. Yet we find inland fishing has not been developed in Brazil. Okay, and that is because of the inaccessible inaccessible region. These regions are inaccessible, and hence we find fishing activity, that is inland fishing, has not been much developed along the Amazon basin. Okay, so today we have done the primary activities which are carried out in Brazil. So primary activities include agriculture, okay, mining, animal husbandry, as well as fishing. Okay, so in the next lesson we'll continue with this session, okay, where we will discuss about the activities, these primary activities of the Indian subcontinent. Till then, children, thank you.